Hello everyone, welcome to the session on Mechanics of Materials 18ME32 of third semester. Today we will see the module 3, that is shear force and bending moment diagram. In the previous class we have gone through the different types of beams that are available and the types of load that can be applied on each beam. And we have seen how the load is the representation of a load is done on the beam, and how the beams are constrained at the ends and at different locations. So today we will move forward and we will see how the shear force and bending moment on a beam can be determined, and what are the sign conventions that has to be followed in order to find out the shear force and bending moments acting on the beam. So today we will start off with the sign conventions. The sign conventions are very important very important part while solving the problems of shear force and bending moments, or while solving problems on beams in general. So these sign conventions are essential to when we are going to deal with the equilibrium equations. As I told, there are few equilibrium equations available. There is like some of the vertical forces will be equal to 0, some of the horizontal forces are equal to 0, and some of the moments about any given point or any given location will be equal to 0. So any beam which can be solved by applying this equilibrium conditions, are called as deterministic beams, and we are always interested in this particular section of beams. Now, why these sign conventions are important? Because why these sign conventions are important? Now, when we take a member, structural member subjected to load, it will not be subjected to only one type of load, like it will not just subjected to tensile, or it will not just only subjected to compressive. It will be subjected to different types of loads, multiple loads in general. Like it might be subjected to tensile as well as compression. So please go back to your previous modules where we have taken, if the member is subjected to tensile load, the load we will be representing the tensile with a positive number or a positive value. When it is subjected to a compression, we will treat that as negative. The only intention why we have selected positive and negative over there is anything that is going to be enhanced or increased or shows the changes in a positive manner. Positive manner means increasing. We said it as a positive, because when we apply a tensile load on a member, it is going to produce elongation or increase in length. So we just said, since we are seeing an increase in length, we said it will be a positive nature. It is a positive nature of a structure. Whereas in compression, it is going to show a decrease in length. It is going to get decreased or diminished in size. So it is showing changes in the negative direction. That is, it is showing in a compression, it is getting decreased. So we said it as a compression. So when the member is subjected to both tensile and compression, we will treat tensile value as positive and compression value as negative. This is very clear. This is what's made very clear while we are dealing with the first module. On the same way, when we come to a beams, there are certain situations where the forces will be acting from the upward direction as well as from the downward direction. So what is the rule that has to be applied? There should be some rule, right? So in order to make the solutions comfortable and simple and easy to solve, we should make some conditions or some assumptions, or some rules has to be made, or some method has to be followed. So for that, these sign conventions are important. Like we may take the forces acting upwards, let the forces acting upwards might be positive, let the forces acting downwards shall be a negative. This is one thing that I am assuming. The reverse is also possible. Like I can take the forces acting downwards as positive. When I take that as positive, the forces acting in upward direction will become automatically negative. So this is a simple rule that we have followed in the previous sessions or previous modules. And the same grounds, we have supposed to follow some conventions in our bending moment and shear force calculation also. So let us start with shear force sign conventions. Let us start with the shear force sign conventions. Now I am taking this as a beam, I am considering this as a beam, So let us not worry whether it is simply supported or a cantilever, let us take this as simple as a beam. So when the beam, we have selected a beam and we have assumed a section over here, section. So this is a beam and I have considered a section. The name of that section is XX. The name of the section is XX. Now please observe, I have a section over here and the beam has got two ends with respect to that section. One is the right side end, another on the left side. So this is right and this is left when we have a section over here. So now what is the help of this section and why right and left? With respect to the section, this is the right side and this is the left side. Now on this beam, always I remember a beam is a structural member which is subjected to vertical loads or a transverse load. So now let us observe the forces that are acting on this beam. So here we have a section. So this bulged portion, the extruded portion, let us call that itself as a section now, and this is the right side and this is the left side. Now if the forces which are acting vertical on this beam, if they are acting downwards and it is to the right side of the section, if it is acting downwards to the right side of the section, then those forces are treated as negative forces, negative value. The forces acting towards the right side, this is a beam, the forces acting towards the left side of the section, if they are acting downwards, then we treat those forces as negative value. And if the forces acting towards the left side of the section of a beam and if they are acting upwards, then we call it as a positive value. And reverse mirror image on the other side. Forces acting towards the right side of the section, and if they are downwards, it is positive. If it is upwards, then we say it as a negative value or a negative force. So I will repeat, the sign convention that should be followed for shear force is forces towards the left side of the section, if they are acting downwards is negative, if it is acting upwards is positive. To the right side, if the forces are acting downwards, then it is positive, if they are acting upwards, it is negative. This convention has to be remembered by you and it has to be recorded nicely in your minds, because while solving the problems, this sign convention is very, very important to have a correct solution to our problem. I hope it is clear. Shear force sign conventions are clear. Let us move on to the bending moment sign conventions. So in bending moment, we may have two situations, like the forces might be acting upwards, or also the forces might be acting downwards. The forces might be acting upwards or it might be acting downwards. So when the forces are acting upwards, as in the first case, the beam, it will be bending in this fashion. It will bend like this. We will have a bend over here. So this type of bending, we call it as a sagging effect. If the beam bends in this particular fashion, we call it as a sagging effect. What effect? Sagging effect. This sagging effect or a sagging moment will be always positive bending moment, Again, what should we do with respect to the forces? We know for bending moment is nothing but force into the perpendicular distance. Moment is nothing but force into the perpendicular distance. Also again we have a section xx at the mid or somewhere. If the moment to the left side of the section of a beam, if the moment towards the left side of the section of a beam, if it produces left side of a section of a beam, if it produces clockwise effect, if it produces a clockwise moment, then that moment is positive in nature. Same thing, if the moment to the right side of the section, if it produces counterclockwise moment, counterclockwise is opposite to that of clockwise. If it produces counterclockwise moment, then it is negative in nature. And the moment, bending moment effect, which is the result of this type of loading condition, if it is showing a sagging effect, then that bending moment will be positive. Again, next case, it is completely a mirror of this. The moment the forces are acting downwards and it is causing the beam to bend in this particular fashion. It will make the bend to bend in this particular fashion. So this type of effect, we call it as an hogging effect. And the hogging effect moment, bending moment is a negative bending moment. And observe the forces are acting here downwards towards on either side of the section. And now let us come over the bending moments now. Towards the left side of a section, if the moments are counterclockwise, then it is negative. See, observe, clockwise positive. Obviously the counterclockwise, if it is present, it will be negative. Counterclockwise is negative, obviously the clockwise moment will be positive. This is what the sign conventions that we follow to solve the problems on shear force and bending moment. So when we are going to telecast this video or in the online class, I request you people to write down both the sign conventions for shear force and bending moment. Because once you write the conventions, it will be easy for you when we are going to start the problems. Okay. Now let us move on to the next part of our content. So next we have is the relation. We have a load, we have a shear force, we have a bending moment. Now is there any relation between all these three? Because of the load, there is a shear force, and because of those things, we are observing the moment or the bending moment. So now let us give the relationship between all the three, that is relationship between load, shear force and the bending moment and the bending moment. So to give the relationship, I have considered the diagram. A diagram which is as shown in the figure. So this is how we start with our derivation, and I said, so equilibrium conditions are very important. So here we will be using our equilibrium conditions, and also for quite some extent we will be using the conventions, that is sign conventions. Okay. Consider a beam carrying a uniformly distributed load. Consider a beam carrying a uniformly distributed load of magnitude W per unit length. Uniformly distributed load of magnitude W per unit length. What is the meaning of uniformly distributed load? The load is distributed on the entire span length of the beam, or the load is consistent at each and every location of the span length of the beam. So the magnitude given to us is W per unit length, or W per meter, or W per unit length, or W Newton per meter, W Newton per meter. Now let us consider the section A dash and B dash for an elemental length of dx, as shown in the figure, as shown in the figure. So this is the entire span length of the beam. For our derivation, what we have done, we have considered an elemental length. We have considered a small elemental length of dx between the section AA dash and BB dash. This portion of the beam is taken out here and it is being enlarged. It is being enlarged. It is being enlarged. Okay. At section AA dash, we have a shear force F acting upwards. We have shear force F acting upwards and a moment M which is clockwise in nature, And at section BB dash, we have shear force acting downwards, that is F plus dF, and a moment is counterclockwise M plus dm. So the statement goes like this. Now consider a section AA dash, BB dash for an elemental length of dx, as shown in the figure. At section AA dash, shear force F and bending moment and the moment M is acting at section AA dash. Similarly, at section BB dash, we have force F plus dF and moment M. Full stop. Now, the load that is acting on the beam is W per unit length, that is Newton per meter. The unit of load for UDL is Newton per meter. I want that to be in terms of Newton. The load, always the unit of load is Newton. So how can I convert Newton per meter into just Newton? I have multiplied. It is being multiplied. W is multiplied with the span length on which it is acting. What is the span length that we have considered now? For elemental length dx, dx is the span length. So we have multiplied W with dx. So Newton per meter into meter, we get that as just Newton. Now UDL was acting over the entire span length of the beam. Now where does this W into dx will be acting on the beam? So it will be acting at the CG of the beam. For a UDL, uniformly distributed load, the UDL will be acting exactly at the mid span of the beam. For a length dx, where is the midpoint? It will be at a distance dx by 2 from section AA dash, dx by 2 from section BB dash. Is that clear? Fine. Now, since the portion between, see, there are some upward forces, there are some downward forces, there are some clockwise moment and there are some anti-clockwise moment. Okay. Since the portion between the section AA dash and BB dash are in equilibrium, then algebraic sum of vertical forces should be equal to 0. What is the meaning of algebraic sum of vertical force? Upward forces, if we are taking it as positive, then downward forces, if we are taking it as negative, then upward force plus downward force should be equal to 0. Okay. Can you identify the forces that are acting? On the beam? F acting upwards, W into dx acting downwards, W plus F plus dF acting downwards. So we have said the algebraic sum of all the forces acting should be equal to 0. So that will be F minus W dx minus F plus dF should be equal to 0. Let us simplify. F get cancels because it is positive and negative. minus W dx equals df. So therefore, W equals minus df by dx. W equals minus df by dx, that is the rate of change of shear force with respect to the length is equal to the load. The load is equal to rate of change of shear force with respect to the length. Rate of change of shear force with respect to length. W equals minus df by dx. So observe, we have given the relationship between load and the shear force. Load and the shear force. Shall we move on further? Okay. This is we did for vertical forces. So forces is done. Now let us move on to the moment. Okay. So sum of all the moments acting about any location should be equal to 0. So about what we will take? Let us take the moments with respect to the center of the beam. Sum of all the algebraic moments about the center of the beam should be equal to 0. What is the moment? Force into perpendicular distance. For example, if this is the force to the center, what is the perpendicular distance from A dash to the center? It is dx by 2. dx by 2. Shall we start? Okay. M is already producing the clockwise moment. It will be positive plus F into the perpendicular distance. What is the perpendicular distance from A dash to the center? Dx by 2. Dx by 2. Dx by 2. Then W into dx is the force. We are taking the moment about the center. What is the distance from the center to center? It is 0. So W dx into 0, it will be a 0 value. So it is not valid. So now let us come to section BB dash. Let us come to the section BB dash. We have a counterclockwise moment. If it is counterclockwise, it is negative. If it is counterclockwise, it is negative. Then we have a force. We have a force acting downwards. This force into what is the perpendicular distance till the center? Dx by 2. So it is producing what kind of effect? It is producing a clockwise effect. F plus df. What is the perpendicular distance? Dx by 2 and should be equal to 0. Which will be equal to 0. Now let us simplify. M F dx by 2 minus m minus into plus minus dm plus f dx by 2 plus df dx by 2 whole thing equals 0. Can we eliminate few terms? Can we eliminate few terms? M get cancels, right? F dx by 2 plus f dx by 2, we will get that as 2f dx by 2 minus dm plus df dx by 2 equals 0. Equals 0. So again we can eliminate few terms over here. Can we cancel 2 and 2? Yes. Then observe, df itself is a smaller number. Df itself is a smaller number and dx is also a smaller number. What is the product of smaller quantity into a smaller quantity? It will again result in a still more smaller quantity. So we can ignore or neglect the higher order terms that is df and dx by neglecting higher order terms we get, what we get? We have f dx minus dm. We have neglected df and dx. Df dx, then it will be equal to 0. So can we just rearrange them? So f equals dm by dx. So shear force equals rate of change of moment with respect to the length. So we have established a relation for shear force and moment. We have established a relation for load and the shear force. This derivation is very important because it will be asked for 6 marks. It will be asked for 6 marks. So what you need to do, you are supposed to write the diagram neatly, explain the diagram, that is, we have considered an uniformly distributed, considered a beam subjected to a uniformly distributed load of W per meter length, and we have considered a section AA dash and BB dash for an elemental length of dx. On this elemental length of dx, we have force F and moment M acting, and similarly we have at B section BB dash, force F plus dF and moment M plus dm acting as shown in the figure. Since the beam considered within the portion AA dash and BB dash are in equilibrium, the algebraic sum of the vertical forces should be equal to 0. Once we equate them, we will establish a relation between load and the shear force. That is the first part of the derivation. If we do till here, we will be securing 3 marks. Then the second part is the moment about the midpoint of the beam. The moment about the midpoint of the beam or the center of the beam. If we start deriving with respect to that, considering the moments with respect to O or the midpoint, we will establish a relation between force and the moment. Force and the moment. So if you write this, so we will be getting 6 marks. So in this module, we will be completely getting 20 marks question, 6 marks for this, or you may expect a theory question like explain different types of beams and different types of beams, define a beam and explain different types of beams with neat sketch. There will be an option like either you will get a definition and an explanation, or you will get to derive a relationship between shear force and bending moment diagram for 6 marks. For both this question there will be 6 marks. Either you will get that theory question or you will get this derivation, and remaining 12 to 14 marks will be for one problem which we will be dealing from the next class onwards. Okay. Thank you.